Alright. Alright, so I'm just gonna show off my game here. I haven't shown it off ever, and uh, you know, just wanna share with the world. So we're gonna start off by just going into a new game here. So this is a level I built, just kind of like as a test run of the mechanics, see how it would actually play out, especially at the early stages. And just get a feel for building environments a little bit. So I made all these textures that you can see here. It's all one texture, but yeah, I made these. There is a lot going on in the UI, but first let me head to the options, and I'm going to turn off auto skip text, and I'm going to disable the speedrun timer, which actually has multiple settings as well. Okay. So we've got down at the bottom right, we've got altitude, speed, time, and temperature. And the time is just kind of telling you what the frame rate of the physics engine. So you can pretty much ignore that. Um, the speed is telling you simply your horizontal speed. So if you jump. Wait, actually, yeah. You can see that that's barely changing your speed at all, because the capital E means that it's an exponent. So that's to a very small negative power. I could round it, but I haven't done that. There's also the temperature mechanic. I can get into that later. Probably not, though. It's not really fleshed out very much. We also have the altitude. So when you jump, you can see that it rises and decreases. And at the top left, we have our health bar, and then we've got 2 bars underneath that. You can see that when I jump, the top bar actually unfills a little bit, and that's because it is the stamina bar. So whenever you commit a stamina-consuming action, that'll decrease. And I can't actually decrease it enough without doing that. So you can see now it'll fill up all the way to the top. And the rate at which it refills is not actually constant. It actually will refill faster the closer to full it already is. So it encourages you to kind of use your stamina uh, exactly when you need it. Well, like as you want to delay it as much as possible in a lot of situations, or you'd actually want to do it earlier in some situations. You just want to keep like a constant rhythm. It's kind of the best way to use it. And also, while you're in the air, it refills slower as well. You might be able to see that effect. Yeah. The bottom one I can get into later. It's a bit more complicated. But let's take a jump down here. So these green triangles are filling up our HP. So even though we're already at full, we're actually getting a little bit of over fullness. So the amount of over heal that we get is actually we get less and less of value the more over healed we already are, right? So healing you for I think all of those things that we picked up might heal you from might heal you like 15 or 10 or something. And we picked up 4 of them, but we did not get like 40 extra HP, right? Because the more HP we got, the less and less value we get from each one of those collectibles. So that's a mechanic to kind of basically it'll kind of equal out to around the same level if you're playing at like a consistent amount of taking damage. If you're taking damage consistently, then you'll reach like a certain degree of HP, and the higher and higher your HP gets, it kind of shows you how well you're playing, sort of. So of course we can jump. We can actually jump with much. We can jump at varying heights by varying how long we hold the jump button. So you can see that if we just tap it, we won't make it over here. And actually, we even encounter a little bit of friction from the wall if you try and jump too close to it. So you can't make it over. Well, you can, but it's you have to do it. You can't just hold forward and hold jump, and you won't make it over, right? You have to back up a little bit, otherwise you'll get dragged along all these rocks, and you won't be able to come up. This is an orb. Now what this does, it says a direct deposit of $300 has been made to your bank account. So there's a bank account system in this game where you're going to be spending your resources to improve your character, and we'll get to that in a second when we actually make a purchase. But yeah, so there's neat little trick. You can see that if I'm just on a walking, my speed is around 8, a little bit over 8. If I jump, it starts increasing a little bit, but it doesn't really get too fast. But what I can do is actually jump off of that slope, and I go up to around 12 speed right away. That's because when you jump, your the direction you jump is actually dependent on the surface that you jump off of. So because this is angled, it'll actually kind of follow that path instead of just like going up. So that's useful to know, and you can you can actually modify which direction it tends to go by holding directions. So you can get, like there I got 10, but since I was moving at full speed last time, that's why I got 12. So using that trick again, I can go through here pretty fast. You don't have to do that. You can just play it normal. These are an enemy, so that they have a health bar right above their head, just like you. And that number that's showing is actually their level. There's an upgrade you can get which shows the exact HP value of the enemy, but right now you don't have it. I was using the melee button to just kind of smack them about. These guys, they just kind of walk straight at you. Nothing complicated about it. They're actually a special type of enemy with different physics than most of the other ones. These two kind of tutorial enemies. They've got simpler physics just so that it's a little bit easier because it's your first enemy to fight. And then we have this thing here. So this thing is like making noise and stuff. It sounds kind of like a generator. And what this is actually a save station. So you can go here, and you could save the game. So let's enter a new save. Okay. And we've got a bunch of different options here at the save station. We've got a buff shop. So the buff shop, you can spend your overheal. For example, here we have 35 overheal, because that's how much over 50 we have. And we could spend that on making kind of like giving us a buff to our stats temporarily, right? So the minimum duration you can buy is 30 seconds. So you can see how you can and you always spend all of your overheal on this. It says here it says 34, but it's technically it just says it has to do with rounding, and I don't know why these are specifically different numbers, but I could look into that. There are a lot of stats here, but let's take a look. Oh yeah, and as you increase the amount of buff that you get, so for example right here you'd be getting a 10% buff to your attack speed, and the duration is 36, but if I was to reach for a 20% buff to attack speed, the duration is only 20 actually. So yeah, the bigger the buff, the shorter the duration. So you kind of want to balance out. You want to figure out, okay, well, I want to use this at this specific area, and so that means it needs to be a buff that lasts at least this long, because that's how long it takes me to go over there, right? And it also kind of encourages you to get over there quickly then because of that. So there's that. So there's the bank. You can see once we have a balance of 300. So we can actually spend. So at the bank you can only spend deposited overheal. So you can see we have the 35 overheal attached to our character, and we could deposit it to get this amount here, 44 added. So let's hit that button. See, now we had 300, but now we have 344. Right, so it converted our 35 overheal into $44. Now, the reason these these rates, the rate of conversion will change as you play the game. So, um, the more you deposit into these stations, the less valuable your overheal is, and that's true both on a global level and on a save station specific level. So every time you deposit money in a in a specific save station, that save station will have a decreased convergence. Will have a decreased convert. Will have a decreased ratio for depositing, and it'll also very slightly decrease the ratio of every other save station in the world as well. But and you can see this total deposited at station here tells you the amount of kind of if there was no other stations in the world. This is kind of the effect. It was you notice 45 was a lot like 44. Those numbers are very close together for a reason, but they are not exactly identical. This is kind of an approximation of how much you've earned, kind of, but it doesn't. It takes into account the global ratio, and it kind of gets rid of it, right? That's what this number is. So there's a respec option. So you can spend 200 if you want to respec, and this will come. This will be kind of withdrawn, I believe, from your balance, so that way it'll kind of reset the global XP modifiers and the save station specific modifiers. I don't remember exactly how it works. It's been a while since I made this, but it is designed so that way, you know, it's designed to set you back a few levels effectively, but not like permanently kneecap you, right? That's the idea of it. Now you can see here. I did not actually mean to spend that on that, but I spent it on damage, right? So it went up by 5%. So now my damage is slightly better. So that's fine. Each one of those each one of these stats has a different cost associated with it. I should. I feel like I should have. Normally, you can take back any changes you make as soon as you make the changes. I'm not sure why I couldn't. There, some kind of bugs going on. There's also a teleport network, so you can you played Dark Souls. You can kindle a bonfire. Well, and then you can teleport to it with a certain item you get later on in the game, and so this is kind of like that, where if you spend $100 at of deposited money at a save station, you can add it to the teleport network. And when you do, you can give it a name, and then if you're at any other save station that's been upgraded to be in the teleport network, then you can teleport between any of those stations. And of course, you can also save the game. I think I did that already. So yeah, and every time you visit one of these save stations, you'll get if you have less than 50 HP, you'll heal back up to 50, and it will autosave as well. So let's get into the main room now. So these enemies, I believe, have just normal physics. So they're we got a couple different sizes. We got a big guy and these small guys. They have the same AI and physics right now. So you can kind of smack them about just no problem. There are other enemies. There's another variant of the enemy that's differentiated by size, which has different physics to it as well. So it actually has more mass, and it's actually more immune to knockback. So that's just kind of a difference that you can expect when fighting these bigger enemies, but it doesn't apply right here. So I'm just hunting these guys down to get a little bit more overheal. And then I'm going to spend it at the save station. So I still don't have enough to afford stamina upgrades. Stamina upgrades are honestly the ones I would recommend starting out with. It's at least designed that you do that. So these, as I said, the slopes affect your movement a little bit. So some of these are a little bit sloped just to make it a little bit more fun to jump around in. And down here, this is not a deposit orb. This is an upgrade orb. So here we just unlocked the wall jump ability. So it says press jump while against the wall to jump in the direction you're looking. So what you do is just go, if you go against the wall and you face that way, you'll jump in that direction. If you face kind of away from the wall, you'll jump that way. You can't really face up or down. It doesn't work like that. But there is an influence on the direction that you jump based on what direction you're looking. So now we're gonna go over there. So I could fight those guys, but I don't really need to. We're just climbing up here. This is a little bit tricky for people new to the game to try and climb, and I made it trickier since last time. Someone in testing actually spent I believe an hour here, so there is, it's a little bit more unintuitive than than I thought it would be. And you know, I added stamina now, so this is even harder. But basically, all I have to do is look in one direction, and when you then when you jump, you'll just, you know, jump in a nice pattern, right? And if you don't want to spam jump, otherwise you'll run out of stamina. And I'm noticing that right here, there's actually a bit of a texture bug, so that's kind of annoying. But yeah. Oh, you can see there I took damage because I just jumped in the lava. Probably could have made that more clear, but yeah. So we reached the second station. So let's make a new save. And let's get going. So down there, we can't really. I mean, we can, but I wouldn't recommend trying that right now. But what we can do is jump back and forth down this corridor. And it's made to be, you know, easy. If you just look in the direction you're trying to go, you just kind of hit wall jump, and you'll end up in that direction. So now we unlocked ski mode. So ski mode, you ever played a Tribes game? I don't know. I played Tribes Ascend, and in Tribes Ascend, if you hold down the space bar, then you kind of go into a frictionless environment. Well, not a frictionless environment, but you just lose all friction, right? You just start sliding along on the ground, right? So this is kind of inspired by that, where I'm not holding any directional key. I'm just holding down the ski button, and I'm just I'm just sliding in the same direction that I was traveling in, the same speed. So that's going to be useful for a couple things. There's some other things it does. You can see when I'm holding down the ski button because this S shows up on my screen. So see, not holding it, now I'm holding it. And that will let us slide down this slide. Another thing it does, actually, it actually will give you, if you're in the air when you do it, it'll give you it's kind of a downward thrust, instant downward thrust. So if you like hold jump and then you like hold the ski button, you gotta get this weird kind of hover in the air effect. It's a little bit neat. It also increases the strength of gravity a little bit, and you can bounce. So I just hold down ski. Eventually I'll stop bouncing because there's a certain minimum required speed for the bounce to go into effect. But yeah, you can use this to bounce. You can even bounce in lava. So I'm still taking damage, and normally I would experience a knockback effect, but also when you're in ski mode, you don't experience damage knockback. Uh, and another thing that it does, hold on, so you can just see, so this is the normal jump height. You can look at the altitude, goes to like 68.8, and now I'm going to hold ski and do the same thing. And you go to about 68.8, right? But I said it has higher gravity. Well, that's because when you ski jump, you actually, like when you jump while skiing, you actually get you actually have a higher initial velocity. So it's a higher initial velocity, but you go to the same altitude because of the increased gravity. But you can kind of disable. You can take advantage of this by disabling ski mid jump. So you can see I'm holding. Let me just do it slow. So I'm holding ski, and then I'm going to hit jump and release ski the same in order in a quick succession. See, I went to an altitude of 70. So instead of like 68.8, I got like an extra unit point, like 1.2 of height, just by kind of tapping ski right as I'm jumping. You see, so that's useful. Now let's jump down the slide. So I'm gonna hold down ski, and you can see my speed goes to like 30. So now I can jump across these huge gaps. You can see how big they are. Yeah, and jump back up this as well on the other side. So I've reached this other save station. Let's see over here. That is an error that happened when I imported the game to my new Unity build. I'm not sure why that happened. It has to do with an issue with the mesh. I can't actually fix it without rebuilding it, and I don't feel like it, because this is supposed to be more of a temporary environment anyway. So I'm just gonna beat this guy up. You know, the classic. Alright, the plus button will spend a single. Will purchase like a single point of the 5%, and the plus will spend all of your balance on it if you can. So you can see, there we go. Now stamina is at 1.05, just like our damage was. Damage is. We'll just save again, because why not? Alright. So now we have a little bit more stamina. And we need to figure out what to do in this room, right? So, just that's the end of the level up there. Also another texture. But this is where we're trying to go. So to get up there, we can't really jump up there, so we need to use these walls to get up there. So this is kind of the intended route. Just, you know, nice and doing a couple chain and wall jumps together, and then doing a slide. Yeah? And that gave us control mode. So control mode, we hold the shift is the button I'm up to. You can hold this to stick to walls and have instant acceleration. So what does that mean? Well, okay, so you can see I'm in control mode because instead of an S, I have a C. So I'm swapping between them. Now I'm in control mode. So you can only be in one of them at a time. If you try and hold down both buttons, you just get ski mode. So the way control mode works, so like normally, if I hold left and then hold right, there's a little bit of a stop. Doesn't matter how, like it just takes a little bit of time to stop. Like if I just hold left, yeah. And if I'm in the air, you can see acceleration is really slow. Like there's barely any at all. But if I am in control mode, then I can go left and right all I want, right? So this just kind of removes any delay in turning around, but it actually has a lower max speed. So ideally, you know, you can kind of do this to take advantage of the features where you enable control mode to swap directions, and then you let go of it to reach the max speed of the normal movement. right? So that's the idea. And another thing it does is let you stick to walls. But if you can see the stamina at the stamina bar below the HP, it will decrease constantly while you're in control mode. Not while you're on the ground, but while you're in the air, you can see it's decreasing. Normally, if I jump, it would be more like that. But yeah. Uh, so you can sort of use this to kind of make really, concise movements or like stop on a dime. It's pretty flexible. Not nearly as flexible as ski mode, but it's pretty nice. And now we just need to get down. So I'm gonna show off a little bit, I guess. You can get up here with just some wall jumps. It's not really, you don't need to get up here actually at all. You can just this is kind of the intended way to get over here. You just use control mode to slide along the wall. Once again, I made this before stamina, so it's a little bit not designed with stamina in mind. So you kind of run out while you're like on this slope. But you can actually control mode also lets you kind of climb up these slopes that would normally be too steep for you to climb up. You can actually only really slide down this slope because it's so steep without control mode. But with control mode, you just walk right up. And that's the end of that little demo that I made here. You just jump into the abyss. Goodbye world. And you can actually see that at a negative 150 altitude, there's actually a failsafe kicked in. It's to return you to the world. So if my collision messes up, then you can find yourself back playing the game where you fell off. So that's nice. Now I'm going to show you. Now this is the pause menu. You can access the regular options here. You can also access the graphics options. But there's this interesting feature called the ghost save. So I just hit the ghost save button, and what does that do? It didn't seem like it did anything. Well, if I go to the main menu and I load game, let's load the ghost. Load save. It actually loads you back in right where we started, right here. Now you're now in ghost mode. The only thing about ghost mode is that you do not have access to make any more saves, including more ghost saves. So the idea of ghost mode is you can sort of like set up like a practice save location and then like practice some specific hard task to get better at it, and then when you develop the skills necessary, then you go play for real. As you can see, when I walk over the save station, nothing happens. Right? I can't even access the buff menu. Right? Okay. Oh yeah, and another thing about control mode is you actually have reduced gravity. So you can see, when I was jumping down from there, I actually tapped it a couple times out of habit because it will decrease the gravity, and you actually, well, the way it works is it actually sets kind of like it actually has a very small terminal velocity, so you fall like a feather, right? So you can use that to just kind of get more interesting manipulation of your movement as well. But let's go to another example. So that was as far as the. So that was we played on New Game before, and now let's play with a little bit of the hub example that I made. So in this, we have all the upgrades. That's not actually true. That's text I did not change. But what we do have is a dash, right? So we can use this dash in the middle of the air by hitting the jump button, and it will go in the direction that we look. So if we look up, we'll go straight up. If we look down, we'll go straight down. Right? So you can use this as it's like a directed double jump. That's the idea. And you can use this to kind of traverse around. You can use it after a wall jump. You can get pretty high up. Like for example, say jump, wall jump, dash, wall jump. That's a nice combo you can do. Works pretty well. Another thing you can do is actually, if you tap ski mode while you're in the middle of a dash, it plays the jump sound, and it actually will it will well so when you dash, it'll take all your momentum away and put it in the direction that you're looking. Well, it'll like reset it, and it'll set your velocity to the direction you're looking at a specific dash speed. But if you are holding ski and you hit jump to do a dash, it'll actually just add to the what you've already got, sort of. So you can see if I'm moving forward and I look straight up and I do a ski dash, which is what this is called, the technique, then it actually, you still move forward a little bit. Because normally, if I'm jumping and I look straight up, I lose all horizontal momentum. But with a ski dash, it doesn't function like that. So you can use this technique to get a little bit more out of your jumps than you normally could. You can actually hit ski at any point during a dash as well to get to convert it into a ski dash. And ski dashes have a little bit more speed than a regular dash. So ideally, you'd want to hit the ski dash button at the end of your dash to then have kind of the best of the best dash you can get. It'll give you a little bit more speed than you would otherwise. But yeah, that is the ski dashing. So we're gonna use that to get over to that island over there. So we're just gonna do a regular jump. You actually don't even need the ski dash. They did it without it. Perfect. Got a save station. Not even gonna use it. We're just gonna jump up here. Kind of. This is kind of like a path you're supposed to go through here, but you can actually do this in basically any order you want if you know the movement mechanics well enough. Particularly, there's a technique you can use where if you remember when you're holding ski, you bounce, right? So all you have to do is hold ski and you'll bounce up. Well, actually, if you hit jump at just the right time before hitting the ground, while you're holding ski, then you'll get a bigger bounce than the amount of speed you had to start out with. So you can actually go really high with that. So you can get like on top of like basically anything you want. So you can see now we're up here, and there's actually no way to get up here, I believe, without using some sort of technique like that. And you can, when you have the dash ability, you have to be really careful because when you hit space midair, you're going to actually dash, but you need to hit space within like a few frames before hitting the ground to get this special like bonus jump. You see there, I missed it. I think I released ski potentially, but yeah, it also uses a decent amount of stamina, so you have to be careful with that. So that is, you can kind of see what I'm doing right now. I'm using these ski dashes in combination with these bounce jumps to get to places in ways that you normally couldn't at all. That's actually really strong. But let's now jump into the test ground. So this is just kind of the scene in Unity that I use to test everything, and you actually do have all the upgrades this time. I'm not lying about that. And you get just a nice 2K check for the bank. So I'm just gonna spend all this on stamina, because that's the way to do it. Right. So max out the stamina. See, so we actually max out at a rate at like about 2.53. Because it'll like, I forget how many upgrades that is, but it multiplies by 5% every time. So eventually it would get ridiculous, so that's why I just cap it out. So I'm gonna do that. I'm also going to add CM damage. To like 1.5 probably. Then we'll add a little bit of armor just to be safe. Okay. you can see now, the stamina bar barely moves. We have so much stamina, and because it refills faster, the more you have of it, it actually refills. You get a lot of stamina now, basically. Uh, so yeah. What I'm gonna do is show off a little bit of the combat with this is I spawned one of every like normal enemy over here. So the enemies are different colored pills. There I just missed. So they're sliding around. So only a few enemies will attack you at once, even though they're all kind of aggroed on you. Just to not overwhelm you. Only a few of them will attack. Now they each have different AI behavior. And whoops. And it is not the easiest thing in the world to fight, especially because I am out of practice. But and this is you know, a lot of enemies. You know, you're kind of surrounded. You have to normally you'd probably be able to control them a little bit better with the environment. But here, this guy, he jumps at you. Now I just comboed him just to death in one combo. Comboing is actually pretty a good idea when you're fighting them. So the idea is you want to knock them up in the air with a jumping attack. Most attacks will add a fraction of your velocity to the enemy that you're fighting. So you can kind of, if you move up, then they'll move up, and if you move at them, who's attacking me? If you move at them, I can get someone to attack me, and I'm prepared for it. Nope. They're not playing nice. The problem is that if they think, there we go. I was moving at him and he went a little bit farther back than if I just let him walk into me. You can see there he didn't go as far back. So the idea is that you can control them by changing the speed at which you're moving when you hit them, and the direction that you're traveling. And it's always a good idea. You just pretty much always want to knock them up in the air. And then usually you want to finish them off. You kind of want to hit him in the air, hit him with another move, and then hit him with like a dash move to kind of, you know, finish to like end your combo. That's sort of the idea. So it's like every combos are like a 3-step process. At least beginner combos, because you can actually infinite. Now, this is not the easiest thing to do in the world, and in fact, we would kill them. Basically, all these enemies, probably in like 4 hits at most, because we are playing on the standard difficulty. If you see the difficulty, it says custom. We're actually playing on normal, right? So everything is set to 1. This is the default settings. There's also hard, which is if I was more in the groove of it, this is usually what I'd recommend playing on. It's a lot more challenging, but you know, definitely for a beginner, I don't think you can play on that. And there's also just a very challenging set of sliders called harder, which I would not recommend unless you want to torture yourself. But yeah, we're gonna set it back to normal. Okay, and let's get back into that test ground, and I'm gonna rebuy those upgrades. So we have it was stamina, and I'm actually just gonna max out on CM damage this time. So CM stands for combat momentum, and combat momentum is actually the second bar, the one that's below stamina on the UI. So combat momentum, you can see it now says 1, so that's kind of like what level you're at. It starts out at 0, and if you deal damage or you do something a little bit cool, like you cancel an attack, then you will gain some combo momentum. Now combat momentum will give you a damage multiplier. So you will do just way more damage when you have combat momentum. As you can see, now we have 2 combat momentum. So if someone attacks me, see there, I'm doing like 70 damage hit when normally it'd be significantly lower. Like let me take another hit. So when you get hit, it should decrease. I think did that just increase it? I don't know what's going on. There's definitely a bug going on. Interesting. I will look at why that's happening. I have an idea. But basically, any second now I will have 0. It's actually kind of a little bit hard to decrease it when every hit. Normally you just get hit and you end up with like almost none. So I'm not sure what's going on. But I bet it would be faster if I just started a new one. CM damage, stamina, leave. Okay. I did it in the wrong order. But okay. So now, come at me. Whoops. So I did. You see, went down to like around like I think it was around like 80 HP. And he starts at 120, so it did like 40 damage. That's still a little bit higher than it probably should have been. Oh, I think I took damage. That was the issue. Anyway, normally it should do like 15 or 20, I think. It's been a while, so I think that's what it is. And you just do like exponential more damage when you have combat momentum. It basically is required when you move to a higher difficulty level. So let's set the difficulty to harder. You can see that the enemy health multiplier is 9 actually. So they have 9 times as much HP, but they actually don't take very much longer to fight. And the reason is because you're gonna be doing just unbelievable amounts of damage if you get your combos up. Really, the enemy health multiplier is just kind of like a gate that tells you how big your combo needs to be to actually kill them. Really, because of that. So that's generally how that works. You can see if I just go to a new game on hard, there's actually a lot of changes it makes. It's a pretty comprehensive difficulty setting. It's all numbers changes, but well, not actually all numbers changes. It's mostly numbers changes. And you can see how little HP damage they take. Well, they also have, you can actually even tell that the physics is different as well, because the speed at which they move around is affected significantly. It's one of the more noticeable changes when I originally started making the difficulty was that they move way faster. It's actually pretty hard to deal with how fast. If they move very slightly faster, they become significantly harder to deal with. Because they will be attacking you much more often, and that'll be a lot more challenging on your stamina. So even if it might not seem like they're attacking much faster, just any little bit, yeah, it makes the game much harder to play. Yeah. You can see actually they run into each other, and their momentum. They're kind of like billiard balls, where they actually will add the momentum to each other, and if 2 of them are attacking you from the same angle, a lot of times what will happen is you'll knock back the first one, and then the one behind him will run into the enemy in front, and then you won't actually, like, the knockback will be cancelled, and you'll get like an enemy just flying into your face. That's something you have to watch out for. Let's go a little bit into more of the upgrades that we haven't covered so far. So yeah, so we're back in the test ground. So I said we have all the upgrades. So you've seen the core kit. There's also a grappling hook, so you can just kind of swing around, right? And while you're grappling, your stamina will slowly drain. So You can't just kind of like swing around forever. You're not Spider-Man. You have to take a break, and then your grapple will snap, and you'll fall to the ground. Hold on, my HP is draining for reasons. Okay, so you can also with an upgrade you can retract and extend the grapple to kind of zip line around. But that uses a lot of stamina, so generally you want to avoid that. It's a lot easier to kind of swing to get to places, and what you can actually do is I'm going to start retracting the grapple, and if you'll notice I'm going quite fast, and that's because as you retract the grapple, it will be adding momentum to you, just because of how physics work. Be pulling you towards it, so you can actually get just absurd speeds by carefully retracting the grapple to kind of enhance the speed at which you're going. So it's a nice technique. Another thing that you can do is if you use the other click, then you get a pole vault. So this pole vault, it will you can extend and retract it just the same. But the main idea is that you can put it on a surface and you will be repelled from it even if you're not on it. There's another technique you can use, which is called like you can think of it like instead of retracting quickly, you want to retract really quickly, kind of like in a yank. So the idea is if you're in control mode, if you hold the control mode button, even though it doesn't. So while you're grappling, you can't be in control mode or ski mode. Well, you can actually be in ski mode, but you can't be in control mode. Just based on how the physics work, it wouldn't really make any sense. But what you can do is if you hit the retract button, you just tap it while you're in control mode, then you will start a kind of a sequence which you cannot end, where the grapple will retract as much as it can before it breaks. And it'll be taking damage per second. The grapple actually has an HP bar. It's kind of invisible. And when you start yanking, it'll actually start doing damage per second. And the idea is that you can only do it for a very short period of time. But but it'll actually retract at a much faster speed than you would normally get. So let me get down here underneath this ceiling, and this is what happens if I just retract really slow. But if I do a yank retract, you can see it goes quite fast actually, and yeah, you get much higher than otherwise. Now this has you can also use this with the pole vault, and you can use it. But with pole vault, it's nice to do it with an extend, right? So you could do like that to get a pretty significant boost in speed. Like extend, right? There you go. Kind of go launching off of it. It's nice. There's also like a gun, crossbow, explosive ammo thing going on here. This is an option we have. It just shoots a ball, and the ball will deal damage as well as creating an explosion, which also deals damage. Now, this actually is affected by your momentum. So, see, it actually, when I'm moving away, it'll, travel a smaller distance. It's kind of hard to notice at these slow speeds, but it is an effect. So it'll always travel away from you relative to your current speed. Yeah. See there how it kind of like curves? Well, it's not really curving. Let's see. So we also have temperature. So let's go into temperature. So there are a couple invisible temperature zones. You can take a look at the UI. You can see my temperature is at 108 right now. I'm going to go over here. and my temperature is rapidly decreasing. Now, temperature, if it gets low enough, at around 50, you'll start taking damage. You can see my HP bar is now ticking away. So it's I have to get out of there, otherwise I will die. So yeah. But another thing that temperature does is actually affects the physics of your grapple and pole vaults. When you're in kind of a cold area, how do I show this? So the kind of rigidity of the pole or the grapple changes based on the temperature, right? So when you're really cold, it'll be very rigid, right? So it'll resist any movement, and it'll kind of take damage from any amount of if you're moving into it very easily. But when you're warm, it'll actually resist a lot less. So it's just a kind of a technique you can use, is manipulating your temperature to actually get very slightly different physics. That's something you can do. Another thing you can do is use the temperature gun. So this is the temperature gun. It shoots bolts just like the crossbow bolt, but it doesn't actually explode. And let's get into a warm area. So you can see I'm going to shoot it and look what happens to the temperature. So the temperature actually went down by like 20. So what happens is you've got an internal temperature inside of the gun. And whenever you shoot, it'll let out a little bit of that internal temperature, and it'll diffuse it to you. So the idea is it'll start meeting a thermal equilibrium of your outside temperature the more you shoot the temperature gun. So you can see now I was there and in the warm area, and when I shot the temperature gun, I wasn't really changing my temperature very much, and that's because it became warm. Now that I'm in the cold area, if I shoot it, I get a whole bunch of temperature. I get like a huge increase in temperature because of just how big the difference is in the temperature of these areas. So, yeah. That's a technique you can use to save yourself from dying, or even manipulate the temperature more for some interesting physics things. Like something you could do is go into a cold area to get the cold physics. Set your temperature gun's equilibrium to the cold. Leave the cold area, go to a warm area, and then when you're in the warm area, you could activate your the cold temperature gun to give yourself a more rigid pole vault, and you might use that for some feature as well. You can also pole vault off of enemies. In fact, you can. It's pretty useful against a lot of them because it pushes them back. Another thing you can do is while you're grappling an enemy, it will do damage to the grapple and resist it. There's also an upgrade that we have access to, where the grapple will do damage to the any enemy that it's grappled to. It's called the electric grapple. So the idea is that at least you're getting a little bit of damage off while you're using it in combat. You can also pull enemies to you with the grapple. You can use this in for a number of reasons. So a lot of enemies that fire ranged projectiles will actually run away from you while they're shooting. So the grapple can be a nice tool to use to help get them to actually fight you in melee range. So they won't shoot at you while you're in melee range because it's kind of hard to hit targets while you're so close, and you messes with their aim. So that's a technique you can use. Now, because I talked about infinite combos earlier, and actually, let's see if I can get one off. I haven't tried this, so I might not be able to do it, and it's a little bit hard when there's enemies around, and that was a poor choice of enemy. But the idea is, you use the knockback on the crossbow to reset their velocity to around 0, so that way you can catch up to them much easier. And you take advantage of the fact that whenever you hit an enemy, it actually refills your dash. So if you if you have the stamina to support it, which I don't think I actually do. Without you really need all the stamina upgrades if you want an infinite combo. It is a huge drain. Let me see. So I go to the bank, max out the stamina. I'm actually not gonna mess with any of the other settings, because I want them to stay alive. Okay. So I want fight someone. Nope. Oh, and also when you jump and dash, you have iframes, by the way. So we kind of got a little bit, but not really infinite. You have to really control the movement of both you and the enemy if you want to infinite combo them. There's a very specific technique. There's a few different techniques you can use to infinite combo, because each of your, depending on what direction you're holding when you execute a melee attack, you actually get like different properties to your attack. So you can get some attacks will have a some attacks will have kind of it'll add a little bit of a vertical velocity, or it will spike them down, stuff like that. So like yeah, there we go. The right word aerial attack is really useful for comboing. It's probably the easiest technique for infinite comboing. There's a couple other ones. So let me see if I can get it. So if you hold control and do a midair jump straight up while you're rising and you hit a melee attack, then you can launch them up much faster than your normal techniques of launching them up. So then you can kind of get underneath them, and if you hold down while you're rising and you you do a melee attack, you can actually kind of bounce them on top of your head as well. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I really have to show off about the game. So I think I'm gonna end it right there.